Guys, welcome back to my channel. It's been very long that I have released any videos so far, but I have started with tutorial for upgrading to Angular 8, and also I'll let you know guys what are the major changes that has been introduced in this version. So first, before we start with the tutorial, we have tie up with the universal tutorial. So here you can even refer this website and then see the command and then follow this, and you can even follow the our YouTube channel as well. So before we start to this tutorial, we'll see what are the major changes that has been introduced in Angular 8. So first of all, they say that the build file size has been reduced to almost 10%, which means if you have the basic tutorial initial Angular page of 100 KB and it was having a build size of 100 KB, now it will reduce up to 90 KB. So which means they are saving up to 10% of the build file. And it's very important because usually the front-end application, suppose you make any changes to your application and then you deploy your code, and always browsers has to download your build files. So as less as the build files, it will be very faster, and then it will work good with even the low internet speed or low connectivity client side. So that is one major advantage. And now Angular Corp with the dynamic imports, it's majorly used, suppose if you're using a lazy load components, and majorly it will help even editors in fact to identify if there is any error in that particular module. For example, if you see, I've created a very small project. We have HttpModule.ts. So coming to the next changes, that is now it will support web workers also to create through your CLI command. So you can use ngGenerate web worker, and then you can mention your web worker if you're already familiar with this one. So to give a just very high level heads up, so if you can use web workers if you want to form any high CPU intensive jobs when you're building a client application. So it will be running in the thread in the backend, and then still users will be able to access the front-end application without any issues or any lag. So before we upgrade, I want to give a few more updates. Suppose if you are using any existing modules for HTTP as HttpModule or HTTP, so please try to use HttpClientModule, that is the standard one, and also Angular suggests you to use that one. And also you should make sure that you are using RxJS 6 or above, but you don't have to worry about this one, because when you run the command ng update Angular, automatically it will upgrade the necessary packages required for Angular 8. And also in this tutorial, this particular application is in aligned with Angular Universal. So if you guys are not aware of Angular Universal, it will be majorly useful for the search engines optimization. So because of I'll show you both the things now, without Angular Universal and then with Angular Universal. So to run your non-universal application, you just have to run ngserve. So it will try to run your application in 4200, and to run Angular Universal you have to first compile the files so that it will create the files in the dist folder, and then you need to run that particular server using Express. So now my client application is already loaded. So if you go to 4200 port, you'll be able to see this project. and I created a very small routing as well. So if you go here and then click and it will open the child component. So I can show you the difference between universal and then non-universal Angular application in this tutorial itself. Okay, so now it's compiled all the files for the Angular universal. So for this one, to run this particular server-side rendering, so you have to use a node, and then it will be having a dist folder. Inside that it will have a server.js file. So now we can see that it's running in 4000 port. So this is a not a regular Angular application, and let me open universal application. So this is the same application. One I'm running with the non-universal mode, which is a regular one, and then this is the universal mode. So which means it's a server-side rendering, and this is client-side rendering. So what's the difference? So if you see, the main difference is when you go to the client rendering Angular application, when you go to view source, you won't be able to see any HTML content of this. And this is a server-side rendering, and when you go to the view page source, you can see all the content of this particular HTML. For say, if you're using the parent buttons, and if you search, you'll be able to identify this. Okay, so if you see, it will be able to show your HTML part in the view source. Why it's useful? It's majorly useful if your application is hosted in some website it's hosted, and then you want to make sure that your page should be ranked very well in all the search engines. So for that, you have to, for sure, you should use a server-side rendering, so that your application will be converted in such a way that it will display the HTML content as below. So how search engines will do is, it will use a crawlers, and then this crawler will go into this content and then see if this particular matching content is present. If it's matching that particular content, your website will be ranked, and then it will be showing in the top list whenever some user searches something in the search engines. So that's a difference. So now coming to Angular 8, and as I was explaining about the major changes, the one major changes would be it will support dynamic imports. That is one good thing, that now IDEs will be able to easily understand if there is any mistake in that particular module by using this dynamic imports. So if it will be available if you're using lazy loaded concept. For say, you create one more module where you wanted to bring all the components here, and you wanted to load those components only when users reaches that particular route. So you have to call load children, and then you have to mention the initial thing was, you have to mention the load children and then colon, and then you have to specify the relative path and then the class of the particular lazy loaded module. But going forward, it will be lazy load children, and then you need to dynamically import the command, and then you need to call dot then, and then you need to load this your module. So now all the IDs when the webpacks will be able to identify your models very easily. So that's a good improvement I have brought up. So before we start upgrading to Angular 8, make sure that your node version is Angular 10, node 10 or above, and also make sure we have to make sure that Typescript is 3.4. But this one you don't have to worry, because when you're upgrading Angular 8, automatically it will make sure the package version is updated. And one more change they brought up is if you're using a ViewChild concept, initially it was taking one argument, and then now so you have to make sure that there will be a second argument is introduced either static with a true or false. So if we're mentioning static as a true, then it will be particular child will be loaded on ngOnIt, or else if I mention false, the results only will be available during AfterViewInit, ngAfterViewInit lifecycle hooks. And also in this tutorial, as you can see, I have even used the material concept. So when you upgrade it to Angular 8, separately have to run this command to make sure that your material package is also upgraded to Angular 8 as well. And one more thing you have to make changes is you need to install Node.js as a dev dependency, because now they started using a native JavaScript compiler. So this Node.js, why it's useful is it will be used to compile your .scss file to CSS files, because browser will be able to understand only CSS and not SCSS. So this particular package will be used for that. So let's start with upgrading to Angular 8. So first you can run this command. So I can open one more terminal and I can increase the space. So I'll run this command. So before doing any changes, always make sure that you take a backup or you commit your previous changes, so that you'll be able to report all the package version for the previous project, your existing project. So now let me update to Angular 8. So to update that, you have to just run that command, and as you can see, all your core forms and then common, everything is 7.1.0. By default, when you run that particular command, it will upgrade it to 8.2.x. So one good thing about now Angular is that now they're bringing the same versioning for all their components. So it's still they have to bring a few things for HTTP and all those steps, but they now aligned many of their packages to the simpler versions. And also I'll suggest you to upgrade this client-side application as soon as new version is available, because suppose if you are in Angular 2 now, and then if you want to upgrade to Angular 8, you have to do a lot of changes inside your project, and it will be very difficult to upgrade it to very higher version, because there will be a lot of packages will be changed. For example, RxJS, initially they brought up, there is so many versioning happen with that particular the library, and you have to accommodate those changes as well. So it's always good practice to upgrade client-side application, which is dependent on many libraries, on instantaneously whenever the new version is available. And also let me stop my application. Okay, now I ran the command, and then so since I guess my application was running, so it gave some error. So let me run again the same command. Okay, and before going to next thing, so now you have upgraded your package.json. So try to npm install for, so that this package will be installed, and then we can go ahead with the next step. After this, there may be some warnings, because we try to run these commands without -c, and then it will ask this particular package is not present in all those, but you can ignore those warnings. So after this, we need to go to the next step to upgrade to material. So it takes a bit time, maybe a minute. Okay, that is successful. So now let me run upgradation of material. So once you run this this particular before that, let me commit my changes, git and all these changes, git commit step 1 for create. So now let me run Angular, sorry, let me run this command to update the material. So now the material will be upgraded to 8.x. Currently I'm using 7. Hopefully you can find it here. Yeah, if you see 7.1.0. So I'm seeing some problems here. Incompatible fear dependency found. Fear dependency means when installing dependencies means that those dependencies might not work correctly together. So you can use the force option to ignore the fear dependency and instead address these warnings later. No, so don't use here force, because if you do that, it will try to use 9.0 libraries, which is not recommended. So what you can do is you can run command ng update. So it will only pick those Angular related components and it will upgrade all these packages. So it's asking me to use the force command. Okay, so now my material is upgraded to 8.1 and then my Angular universal also got upgraded to 8.1. So we're good here. So we can ignore the other libraries which I'm using for some other purpose. Okay, it's downloading the packages. So once it's upgraded, you should be able to see the upgraded information. Yeah, I can see that Angular material is upgraded to Angular 8 and then CTK also upgraded to Angular 8. So I think we are good here. And also, as I told, you have to install this also to install nodes as a set dependency. Okay, this is good. And so once it is done, you can clear the logs and then let me commit this change to track easily. Okay, so Mirror mapping, installing packages. Okay, very good. So let me run Angular server in JSON. Okay, now we can see that it's running successfully. So let me go to here. So it's working fine. If I go to view source, you can see the okay. So this is a client rendering, so you won't see an HTML component. So let me build again server-side rendering files. Okay, it's completed. So let me run that server.js using Node. Okay, it's running on 4000 port. Let me refresh this page. Okay, so it's working fine. So to finally recap this tutorial, so in this tutorial we learned what are the major changes in Angular 8 and how to upgrade previous version of Angular application, which is using Angular Material, Angular Universal, and you upgraded to Angular 8. So please like this video and then subscribe to my channel and put a comment if you have any queries on upgrading to Angular 8. Thanks for watching the video.